Good morning. I'm
Hi.
Kristy Snedden, the editor at Bone to Brain Journal, and today I'm interviewing Mariya Javed-Payne. And Mariya, would you start by just introducing yourself to people?
Yeah, it's actually Mariya.
Mariya.
Yeah, Mariya Javed-Payne or Mari. I'm a psychotherapist, somatic psychotherapist here, residing on Dakota and Anishinaabe lands here in Minnesota in the United States. And I am also a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, shamanic practitioner, and brain spotting trainer, to name a few things that I like to do.
Thank you. We're really happy to meet with you today and get to know you. We haven't really known each other before our interaction today. The first question I want to ask you is what came first for you, brain spotting or creativity? I think I know the answer just from our little bit of chatting today, but
Yeah, definitely creativity. I
Mhm.
think we are creative beings, right? Like we're born into in, through a state of creativity, and as children we're, you know, enamored by the world and wonder. And I think creativity can come more easily, to children because they don't have as many of those weights or filters weighing them down. So I do remember really loving creativity as a child through writing and through art, um, and also music, but primarily it was through writing. And I remember being probably in first grade, so about 6 years old, walking around, and I don't know where it came from, but I was like, I'm an author. I know I'm an author. Like I narrate like a book inside of my head the way that I perceive the world. And so from a really young age, I had a strong affinity for writing, and that was the way that I met the world and made sense of the world. Um, so that was part of me before brain spotting came along. Um, but they've both been a huge part of my creativity journey.
that is so amazing that when you were like a first grader, you knew you were a writer.
Yeah, it was a strong identity. I remember thinking, do other people think this way? Like, are other people narrating what they see, think, feel, uh, with that writer's voice? And I remember talking to my mom about it, and she's like, no, I don't do
She
that.
didn't think so. You know what touches me? You may not know much about my story with poetry, but I really didn't start writing until I started weekly brain spotting during in
Whoa.
2020 during the pandemic. And then it unlocked and it just has been there ever since. But I remember, I think it was 1 or 2 years into writing poetry. I know exactly where I was like driving down this particular road. And I suddenly thought to myself, I am a poet and I'm going to live my life as a poet for the rest of my life and I'm going to embrace it 100%.
I
And it
love it.
added so much. But to
Yeah.
the idea that you could know that when you were six, that's that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's a wonderful way to claim yourself.
Right. Yeah. It really made me so much. It is who I am. And it was like embracing a lost part of my identity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So, what is your story with brain spotting and creativity and how they intersect for you?
Yeah, I think this is where the shadow comes in. So, like I mentioned, writing was a really big part of my life growing up, and I was also a poet. I wrote a lot of poetry, about 180 poems that I put together in like an anthology in junior high, high school, and early parts of college. Um, and I also went down a pretty dark road with addiction starting at about age 13. Writing and charcoal drawing, pastel drawings, all those were still parts of me through this shadow period that lasted about 8 years. I was really addicted to IV opiates and crack cocaine. I was in rehab like 8 times during this time of my life, and was really struggling with a lot of trauma related to immigration, related to cultural assimilation here in the U.S. I'm originally from India, and just mental health stemming from ancestral, intergenerational traumas. Writing was accompanying me through all of that. It was still how I processed, and I had this connection to myself, to like my deeper self and emotions. But by the time I was near the end of my addiction and I experienced some pretty significant traumas, more traumas, I really like fractured, like emotionally, psychologically, psychically. And I've been, I was also hospitalized because of some medical issues related to my addiction. And so since 2009, 2010, I maybe still had like another year or two of being able to write, but I was losing. It was like the portal of that channel was closing. And I didn't even know that that was happening. It just, I wasn't even there. Like psychologically, the dissociation and trauma were really, really ever present. And then in 2014, I had uh, another medical event that affected my brain. And so I further lost the ability. It was at that point where I really lost the ability to write. Like it was like that wiring was gone.
Mhm, mhm.
I was also in school and grad school, and the way that you have to write is not creative. It's
Right.
very analytical. And luckily, I still had really strong intellect, but it was like a succession of events that led to this closing down of feeling safe or having access to myself. And so then cue brain spotting, returning, helping me return more to myself over the last, let's see, it's been about 9 years, where I've been an active client in brain spotting almost every week for just about this entire time.
Mhm.
And then I became a trainer, a consultant, and then a trainer. I was really, really involved in brain spotting. And the reason that I loved it so much was that it was giving parts of myself back that I had lost. And it was literally piecing the damage that I had to my brain and my body back together in a way that no other modality, no other therapy had. And I've done a lot of different modalities and a lot
Mhm.
of different types of healing work. It's the biggest part of my life. So brain spotting I'm still working on it. It's not fully back yet, but I would say that the timeliness of this conversation that we're having is really delightful and beautiful to me, because it's only been in the last maybe 2, 3 months that my medical concerns and things are stabilizing a bit more. And I suppose you would call it a phase of post-traumatic growth.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
so in my brain spotting sessions, including last night, I was working on creativity and going into expansion and accessing the writer inside that
mhm.
is there. But because life has carved me in different ways, I've had to find different pathways for expressing myself again. Um, so that's a little bit to share about brain.
Yeah, that's very powerful, Mari. Thank you for sharing that. I have a question listening to you. At that time, I think you said around 2014 when things happened and that part of you really, that portal started closing.
Mhm.
Were you aware at the time that you were losing that, or did you realize it further down the road?
Um, I knew when I had the medical event, which was TIA in my brain, I felt something when it happened. I literally felt something like snap in my head, or like the clot.
Mm,
And I knew after I was different because I struggled with words. I couldn't remember words. I was an amazing speller growing up and very visually could memorize things. Um, won the spelling bee or whatever in junior high and high school, and I struggled with spelling. So I knew that something had happened to that part of my brain where recalling language was altered.
mhm.
And not like I could still function, which I'm very grateful for, but it was impactful enough that I really felt like I was like, she's gone. That I have no way, I have no idea how to sit down and write a poem. Like that's just not there. It's like pulling teeth is what it would feel like. I would try to go into that part of my brain and it was literally blocked off. So
And now it's coming back, it sounds like.
it's coming back.
Yeah.
It's coming back. And it's because of brain spotting, like primarily. I mean, I've done
I
a lot of other
totally get
things.
that. I mean, I still, when I think of my journey, it's like, how we talk about the sessions are bookends,
Hmm.
and poetry has been my door to processing all kinds of pretty significant childhood trauma
Yeah.
in a way that I never had been able to before. That is just so deeply healing. But the other thing that comes up, and I just want to know as a fellow poet and writer, if this has ever happened with you. So many times I write something and I go into this zone where it's almost like I'm picking stuff out of the field. Like it's not really me, it's more a channel, it feels like. And then I will even read it later and not be sure of a word. And then I'll look up the word and it was like the perfect word. I see you nodding. So yeah, you can relate.
Yeah. I think that art, music, writing, that these are energies, or if you want to call them thought forms, they're in the universe. And what we do is we there's a saying in some of the communities that I'm a part of, healing communities that I'm a part of, catching a song.
Uh-huh.
You don't write the song, you don't create the song, you catch the song. So the
Love.
song, yeah, the music exists already somewhere and you're
Mhm.
drawing it through you. So I
Mhm.
think of poetry very much as a form of channeling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really great to feel this connection.
Yeah, I felt a little sheepish coming on to have this dialogue today because I was like, oh, I'm not feeling like I haven't like produced anything for a while, but I am in this moment of reclaiming and reconnection. And so to sit with somebody else who also has gone through this path and found parts of yourself through brain spotting and really, you care deeply about creativity with this journal, it just feels a little bit like a homecoming to be able to sit here together.
I'm so glad. Yeah. 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 I do feel like my next question is like a silly question.
Yeah, ask. Yeah.
My my silly question is how do you integrate creativity and brain spotting in your sessions and maybe in your trainings, however you want to interpret or answer that question?
Sure. Um, so a few different ways. A lot of my creativity comes in the form of ritual when and the art of holding a container. So I think that that's what my medicine is in the world, is to call in the energies or frequencies of creativity into any space that I am trying to create and hold for other people, or steward for other people. And so ritual, a lot of my work is also focused on earth-based practices and decolonial work and helping people return to their roots, return to pre-colonization. Who were we? How were we? Who were we? And I think creativity was a part of our lives every day in those times. It could be, making basket weaving to picking apples from a tree, and talking to the trees. And so it's things like that that I bring into session. It could be the making of art or a mandala. There's been times with some of my clients that we've brought clay and made things while we, were integrating or processing, encouraging that creativity with clients, bringing in different uh, elements. So, earth, fire, water, air, and using that to facilitate healing, because healing and creativity, I think, are synonymous with each other.
Yeah.
Uh, Healing is a very creative act.
I love that healing and creating are synonymous with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, they they come from the same core, I think. Yeah. If you think of healing, healing in the body, healing in the soul, healing in the mind, the that intelligence that is inside of all living beings, all living creation, is it, that ability to, repair a cut on your finger is creativity. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who came up with that? Oh, let's make a scab. Like,
Uh-huh.
I'm in awe of that. And so I try to carry that essence into the work, reminding people that they have this force inside of them that knows how to heal.
As I listen, the other thing I'm really struck with and appreciate deeply, you obviously have a way of thinking about healing
Mm,
that automatically thinks about things like setups and frames as a verb, not
mm,
as something like, here it is, now we're going to apply it, and then you're going to but inviting people and then co-creating whatever is supposed to happen in that healing moment of that time that the two of you are together.
mhm.
I love that. I'm really glad that we're getting into this today.
Yeah, yeah, likewise. Healing is a really creative act, and reminding people that they have that, and deeply listening.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
That's when you can really, really bring in uh, bring in creativity that is attuned to each person. So I wouldn't say that I'm creative in the sense of like an art therapist, or something more formal, but I'll give you another example. One of my clients that I've been working with struggles to play, struggles with, having a, a sense of duty that is overbearing, and, comes from childhood trauma. And so we made this agreement that, like, once a week she would like do something that was light, and seeing her heal, um, has shown up in the form of, like, one time one time it was fall of last year, and we had piles of leaves out, outside. And so we went and jumped in the leaves after session, just as a way of, like, clearing and having fun. Um, or doing, I forgot what the word is, but making funny voices, and talking in funny voices and things. So it's so sweet to, like, bring people's inner children out through
mm-hmm.
that process, whether it's, something playful, or it's the making of art of some kind, uh, a memorial of some kind. In the ancestral work that I do, we make an altar. And when I host these retreats, it's a gathering of, 10 of us. And so there's 40 lineages being represented from all of our bloodlines. And we bring some kind of food or herb, and we make this mandala that represents each of those lineages and forming that together, the shape, what comes forward, it's like it just gives me chills. Um, so I think that's how it shows up in my work is from a really like a really earthy place.
Yeah, it sounds very organic for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I've had experiences where I'm since Brainspotting opened up writing for me, I'm very lucky that it's very, very generative and very easy for me to, and it's pretty much a every morning writing thing. And so many times I will write something and then I have a session or two, even two sessions during the day where either that theme or particular words or something comes up that's like, it's so obvious that some tuning in was happening before we ever met in person. And I
Yeah.
love that. Oh, and you can relate to that.
Oh, when I'm sitting in session, I'm brain spotting while the client is brain spotting, right? And um I haven't been doing the morning writing. There's still some blocks there with some of the medical stuff I have going on where mornings tend to be harder for me. But in session is when more of the creativity for me comes because I think I'm in this state of openness and attunement to someone else. And so then there's sort of a byproduct of other things being downloaded. So when I'm looking in someone's eyes or around them and holding that space, that dual attunement, there's all of this, uh, poetry, I suppose, coming
Uh-huh.
through. I just need to write it down.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. So, you've shared a lot today, and I just wonder, is there anything I haven't asked you about that you feel moved to share with me or our readers? About
Mm.
you or creativity or anything?
I think that trauma work is a sacred act. And one of the greatest gifts that we can give to people when we're supporting them is when you see someone return to creativity, it's a sign.
Hmm.
It's a profound sign of healing. So jumping in the leaves or a client coming back. I had a client make a stitching, like a glamorous, elaborate piece of artwork that took 6 months. I didn't even know he was making it. And
Wow.
then he showed it to me at the conclusion of our, 3 years of work together. And I was just like, my jaw was on the floor. And it was such a powerful summation of our time together. And it represented like the path towards healing. And so I think to anyone who is listening, whether you're, a recipient of care or you are doing the caring, that creativity is a goalpost, a milepost to be, tuning into, not forcing, but hopefully being pleasantly surprised when something comes through you like that you can just create and remember like where we come from because these are our origins. So I think that's what I would like to add.
Thank you so much. And thank you for spending this time with me today and with our readers. I'm really excited to share this with people.
Yeah, thanks for having me.